All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we got a 40-plus year career hip hop pioneer veteran on the line. We got the one, the only, the original DJ Kid Flash. How are you doing this evening?
All right, all right. What's going on, Canada? You got your boy. What's up, Immortal? I'm good, man. Good. Thanks for having me.
You are most certainly welcome, man. I first and foremost got to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy, busy evening to come on the radio station, man. It's always good to have a legendary individual like yourself take over my airwaves.
I appreciate that, man. It's no problem, man.
If you don't mind me asking, man, taking you way, way back in the day, what made you decide to get into the music industry initially?
Well, my brother, I got a large family, 6 sisters, 4 brothers, and my brother Butch, he's the second oldest. He was in the music. He had went and lived in the Bronx, and he was in the music. So when he came back to St. Albans, Queens, where I was living at the time, he brought his music back. And that's where it all started from there. But, that's way back in the days when there wasn't even no killing. So you couldn't even tell what the next record you was playing. You had to listen to it through the speakers as it was playing to catch it on beat. So that was way back then. And I think that was 74.
And also, I had a couple years from 74. On January 19th, 1980, you actually performed at the College Disco Explosion event. Can you tell us a bit more about that event? And of course, what was that experience like for you? Because back in those days, the disco was huge. And of course, you know what I mean, hip-hop was really, really huge also within New York at that time.
Yeah, that one was... That joint I did not play at. That was another cat named Kid Flash that played there. You know what I'm saying? That joint was when I found out about him. So that one I did not play at. So I couldn't give you no info on that. I found out it wasn't that great. He didn't do that great. Excuse me. But that was not my event. That was a imposter.
Okay, my apologies on that. I also noticed on the poster something about no shoes allowed, and I was like, that's weird.
Right. No, it's okay because at that you got to realize at that time, back then it really wasn't social media heavy like that. So though that type of thing occurred, there was plenty of Kid Flashes out, but never ran up on me with it. So I don't have to apologize for that. You was doing your homework, man.
And one thing I do want to ask, like pertaining to like the other Kid Flashes, like did you ever come face to face with them, like back in the day, like another individual that actually like took your name?
Okay, I'm gonna answer the question, but I got a funny story about that too. I never came face to face with one. I heard of 3. That one I heard of, and the other one I heard of. The other 2 I heard of after I kind of like went away from the game. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't out there performing heavily. Was taking personal time. That's when I ran into them 2. Now one of them I never knew he was a Kid Flash. 3 years ago, I was doing an event for Ralph McDaniels from Video Music Back. Quite sure you heard of him. I was doing an event for him that he does for the library, saluting the hip-hop. And I was talking with my MC. Big shout out to Southside Kid DMC. That's my man, my road dog, my partner. He came to me and said, yo, this dude here. And I'm like, nah, he looks familiar. And he's like, his name is DJ Quick. And I'm like, yeah, I remember him. I know that dude, this, that, and the other. And we was talking. When we went home, he told me that he was a Kid Flash. And that he was set up in the park that I was playing at in Queens, Liberty Park. We set up out there to play. And another DJ came and set up out there to play. And he had the name Kid Flash at the time. So I didn't know that. And to be honest with you, when I was playing, I didn't even know another person was setting up that night. So I met him, and I knew he was a Kid Flash, but, he changed his name to Quick for his own reasons. But the other Kid Flash, I found out about him. He was DJing because I had stepped away for a couple of years. And I heard that this dude had my name and was using it with Kid and playing them. And I'm like, wait a minute. All the times I ever heard the records, I never heard them say his name. I never heard them say that. So that was it. But I never battled against no Kid Flash. I never battled against anybody, if you want to believe. I never had a battle. I never had one, man. Never had a battle in my life, man. Nobody came. I had one attempt, but it didn't go through because they started shooting, and that was the night. It was 1980, Christ the King. You had a bunch of people. Jekyll and Hyde was there. Grandmaster Flash and them was there. Run was there. He didn't have records out, but the solo sounds, that's my big shout out to Baby DMX. They was there. There's a lot of people with records, and I've been now at that time. I'm only.
That's crazy though, you know what I mean? Like when you say people were shooting, like did actually like were you talking about like actually like shooting, like people got shot up?
No one got hurt. What that what they would do was in the air. They run everywhere. They up their gun. They look out. You never see them. That's what it was. There's times where people got injured, even people we was with. But yo, at that time, you got to think, man. This was drug heavy South Side Jamaica, Queens. This is where you hear the neighborhoods. See, when 50 and them 50 Cents grew up out here, shout out to Fifth, grew up out here in the streets, was rough, but it was a little bit more contained by the law enforcement. At that time, it was Wild Wild West, man. It was. We used to be strapped going to parties. I had to. You had to. Your main objectives was to get home, so it wasn't easy going out here in these parks and playing. Like now, I love how you could go to Brooklyn, Bronx, and go out there. But you couldn't really do that unless you knew somebody back then. It was rough, man. It wasn't easy. And that's why you wonder why a lot of hip-hop's the rough brothers in the game, because look what it takes to make that move. Just to go out and have fun.
And when you actually said Grandmaster Flash earlier, I have to ask you, what was it like just being around a legendary, another legendary DJ like him?
That was the greatest thing for me. You got to think about it. Back then, everybody, they didn't even like me using the name. Like me and Grandmaster Flash never had a conversation because it wasn't. That's not how it was. Like, in somewhat way, he figured I was a threat, so he wasn't trying to cool with me. But he showed me that he was the man. He's the fastest on the route. Not this 17-year now, just turned 17 years old. Because my birthday's in June, and we had and think about this, Lord. I just want to phrase this for the people. I came out in the summer of '79. It was May. I was only 16. I turned 17 in June. But just by January of 1980, come on flyers with Grandmaster Flash and people who made records. They added me on because they wanted me to go up against Flash. It happened because he went on, and then the shootout happened, and I was supposed to go next, and it never happened. I actually still have the flyer for that event.
I gotta say that's actually crazy. You know what I mean? Like, just imagine if that battle would have happened. You know what I mean? I think that would have been solidified within hip hop history, and people would still be talking about that today.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's one of the. You got to think about this. I stepped away from the game. What the damage I did in the small time that I played every day fluently, I did damage. I mean, people now and again, they start talking about two different places they saw me, and that was the Christ the King point. I didn't get to play. They saw me before that when I did IS8, so they kind of knew how I was going to come at them. But there was the thing about the pool. But you get that. When you do something that people are not used to saying, it stays with them, man. You know.
And also, you are a member of the group, the Day One Originals. I have to ask you, what's the story behind that group? And of course, how did you all meet?
What we are, it's not an actual group. All that is a statement. Day One Originals. If you was back from day one, like Cypher Sounds, solo sounds. You have Jamaica Sounds. You got Sound Experience. You got Infinity Machine. You got the Disco Twins. Those are day one. What they mean by day one is you was here from the beginning. You was there when you was right around that time. You may not be on that exact date, but you was there when it was still young in the infancy. And how we came about is that we knew each other from the hood. You know, they came up. They was our age, a little younger, maybe a little older, but they came up our age, so they knew about us, we knew about them. Like the Almighty Force Brothers, the one that headlined this Day One original. They used to have Jay-Z opening up for them back then. You know, there wasn't no social media. This is how dope they were. And they was from Queens going into the Bronx, Manhattan, Uptown, Brooklyn, playing and rhyming out there. And when you say I'm from Queens, you hear fools like you another football team from another state. They don't want to hear Queens. But and then anyway, Day One original was two groups, legendary groups. You have 45 years in Cypher Sounds, and then you have another 40 plus years with Almighty Force Brothers. And what we was trying to do was to get all of the originals from South Jamaica, Queens, get them back again. We all make joints together, you know, separate joints and joints together, and then take it on the road. Show the people what it was that started the spark in South Jamaica, that brought out the Onyxes, the 50 Cents, and the DJ Flamboyants, and all these other people that came out after us. You know, to spark that, to show them what it is, because you don't have that platform. You know, some of the young kids, and you know, I don't have a gripe about that, because I'm gonna tell you, I start doing what the young kids do now. I can do some of the transforming mixes and the stuff they're doing now. I mean, it's not that hard, you know, but a lot of the DJs look at them as different. I don't. You incorporate what it is. They talk about us, but not really. They could care less. They trying to get their paper, and I understand them. Because at the time we was young, you know, listen, you did the same thing, even worse. Immortal, trying to get in the game back then was worse than it ever could have been, because how people were treated, man. How they stripped your music, how things they tried to do to you. It was hard, and it was like, if you ain't my boy, you ain't getting in. If they didn't like you, you wasn't getting in. It was hard for me from Jump Street.
I heard a lot of horror stories as well, man. Like even the record labels would actually rip you off and steal your royalties and steal your music right up from under your nose. Like since I've been doing this radio thing, I've been hearing like some terrible stories, man. That stuff that I still don't to this day understand why individuals would just do that to you. I understand people get money hungry, but at the end of the day, man, that's some really shisty type shit. Excuse my language, but
Yeah, you know what it was, and it's rough to say it, but at that time, just speaking the truth, keeping it 100, that was the way it was set up for the white people, because they didn't, the white man that was running that and got the young street brother to become an A&R and find these groups, he was putting that man in the position to have to, he was the mouthpiece of saying, this is what we're going to do and how it's going to be. Knowing you don't know the contract, you're not looking for a lawyer to look at it, and knowing they're going to beat you, and then knowing legally they got the law behind them. So that's how they was getting over. When you're looking at people who's out here trying to hustle and will rob you for money because they're trying to eat, when you showing them 6 figures, 7 figures, they looking at that like, wait a minute. You know, okay, yeah, I'm with that, not knowing what's coming out of that. But the thing is, with us, this is why we never got signed. Because when we was a different type of people. When we walked in there, never more than 3 deep. Never more than 3 deep. When we walked in there, they got the notion right off top that if anything under the table went on here, it will be dealt with under the table. We're not coming back. We're not doing that to us. So if that's what you're going to do, we're giving you the opportunity to let us just walk up out of here, because you don't want that. And we was serious, because we live in a war zone, bro. I mean, I'm stepping over things, watching people get shot. I'm going to the store to buy bread strap. It was a war zone out here. I'm going to come here and put my life's work in on this mix and bring it to you, and you're going to do that to us? Come on, man. We risk death every day. That would be just another reason. So we never got signed for that reason, because at that time, gangster rap wasn't out. We wasn't singing, rapping about that. We got guns, and we wasn't doing none of that. We basically was doing the stuff you would hear like Sugar Hill and them, except we were cursing, but that's just how it was. You know, and they tried to change us, and we wasn't going for that, man. You know, we wasn't going for that. So it's rough, but that's the business. Now these young kids, I got to give them props, because they listen to the Ice Cubes and them, their stories. When you listen to the stories, you won't make those mistakes. Get a lawyer. Gotta be responsible.
That's most definitely true. Or you can get a baseball bat and smash out the office too. But I think the lawyer might be the good solution first off.
See, but that's why you give people the opportunity to do the right thing. Even if the right thing is, even if you're right, the right thing would be that if you want to sign us, sign us. Don't jerk us like that. Or come out and tell us exactly what I'm signing up front. I may accept that on the first go round if the years or how many units you're looking for is not large enough. I may accept that to get my foot out the graveyard. You see what I'm saying? I may accept that the first go round. But you're not giving me that opportunity. And where I come from, that means you robbing me. How long do you think that's going to last?
That's most definitely true, man. That's most definitely true. I agree. You know what I mean? You got to protect what's yours.
That's how we grew up. I didn't raise my kids like that. You even had any foot in that neighborhood. Only when you see him because my son is black and you think that, but his mannerism is not like that. We're not animals. We just was living for us. That's it. You know, this is where we were. You know, it was different for me. I grew up in Queens where it was gated. My mother was a nurse. My father worked for the city on the trains. You know, so we lived comfortable. There was a rhyme that I made when my family got divorced. That's when I moved to Southside Jamaica. And that shit was like going from New York to Iraq. Ew, that was a culture shock, bro. That was a culture shock. And I made a rhyme up there because I wrote rhymes back then. And it was, I grew up in St. Albans and got straight A's in the books. And when I moved to South Jamaica, I got straight A's with the crooks. And that's when I found my lane and I hooked. Everybody know when they coming, we get shook. You know, because everything changed when we got over there. Everything changed. My first day over there, I almost got robbed. From my bike, right in front of my house. Right in front of my house. And all the South boys in St. Albans, everybody's good morning. I don't even know this man. But this was the difference. So you have to adapt, man. You know, if you have to adapt. If you're a house cat and get kicked out into the street and then got to fend for yourself, brother, you got to get up in that garbage can and eat. Ain't nobody coming to bring you take the vittles no more. It's a wrap. Got to do what you got to do. And I'm only 14 at the time going to South Jamaica.
And you know, like they always say, it's survival of the fittest, man. You gotta do what you gotta do to survive. Sometimes it's not the best, but at the end of the day, you still gotta do what you gotta do.
It is, but that hurt us in the long run because you think about the people that didn't want to deal with us because they only saw that. They didn't see that we was good dudes, just not going for the jerk you type thing. You know what I'm saying? It was just how it is. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't gloom and doom. It's just how it was at that time. You right now they would look at it and say, well, wait a minute, how did y'all even pass the time of day without having a cell phone? Because it wasn't there. So this is how it is. So it wasn't like, man, we had beautiful times. One of the times where everybody who sees me, most of the people that's in the game, deep in the game, I mean, people made records, super producers, they come and tell me, when I saw you in the pool at the park, that blew me away. That goes to everybody. I mean, I had people who came to me, records came and told me. When I saw that, that's when I knew. Because that was something, and I came home from work that day, heard the music in the park, and I went there to my man, Cypher Sounds, because I wasn't in that group at the time. They had the music set up, and I just went up there and started getting crazy. And Kevy Kerr from the Uptown asked could he rock on the mic. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead, because I knew he was a good artist, and I knew he did joints already. So I didn't feel no way, and we tore shit up, man. And I used to record everything, but I used to give the takeaway at the end of the party. Wish I had a few of them back.
And speaking of Cypher Sounds, it's actually next on my list to ask you. Like, how did you, as we already know, you're an official DJ for Cypher Sounds, but how did you get connected with them?
It's funny because, like I told you, how back then people wasn't acceptive to, I'm a new DJ, can I play on your stuff? Nah, bro, I don't know you. They wasn't like that. And Cypher Sounds did that too. But I understood it. You didn't know me. I wasn't Kid Flash at the time. I just was some light-skinned dude. And one day I ran into my boys. We all did what we had to do, but no stealing. We got up to get those guitar speakers back then. So we went in our first little park. We picked 50 Park in South Jamaica because it was the smallest one, and we didn't have no large sets like Cypher Sounds and Infinity Machine and Jamaica Sounds. We didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? So we played in the park there, and I had a phase linear amp that my stepfather had. It had no knobs but a power button. And Cypher Sounds came by, saw us playing, and he saw me playing. He was like, yo, you dope, Chief, get us out of here. I like how you play. And he basically was looking at my amp. Because he's like, yo, if I could take that's 5,000 watts. If I could take that, it was 1,000, excuse me. If I could take that and incorporate it in his system. So I knew off top why he was getting at me, because he wanted to use the amp. But I said, you know what? You go to bigger parks. I get bigger audiences. I get to come out more. And that's how me and him connected. Now, I didn't join his group. I was my own dude. I was in a group called Together Brothers, but outgrew that. Everything just jumped to Kid Flash. In a matter of 6 months, man, and think about it, my name was all over New York, and there's no social media. And some of the boroughs I never even played in yet, but they heard about me. They heard about what I was doing. She was a young kid with braids down to his shoulder, just going crazy. So, and me and Cypher Sounds just stuck around. Even to when I took a mental fall back, trying to get my kids and raise my kids. Even when I stopped, I used to go to his house, and wake him up early in the morning. He'd come in there, open the garage door, let me in, turn on all the music. He'd go back to bed and just leave me down there. And I'd be down there all day just doing shit, music, get my scratch on. And me and him became friends. So right now, he's big. This man is making TV pilots, game show pilots, videos. He's got in PA right now with Land, doing clubs and movie shoots. He done stepped his game up. So now what I told him is, look, we coming back out. You don't want to DJ really no more. When we family, I'm going to use the name, still going to use my Kid Flash and build my thing and get my companies off the ground and my apparel off the ground, and I'm going to still hit you with Cypher and bring that out and just stay under that umbrella. Because we trying to get everybody, Disco Twins, Infinity Machine, Livio G, who owns Fresh FM, good look to them because they let me play every Thursday, 7 p.m. Check them, bro. You know what I'm saying? Get everybody together and just do a movement. Go right up and down to 95 and show them what we did to spark everybody else in South Jamaica, because that's where it all started. So that's how I ran into him. He's been a friend. And understanding, been a friend for me since 76. I've known him since 74, but actual friend through music from 76, man. And Dave even longer.
And one thing I do want to ask, man, because this just popped in my head when you were talking about the beginning of Cypher Sounds, man. Your name, like a DJ Kid Flash, like how did you get that? Was that something that the Cypher Sounds gave you, or was that something that you just thought of yourself?
No, I didn't give myself that name. It was given to me. When I was playing, I didn't even have a name. It wasn't no DJ Jamel, nothing. I didn't have a name because I wasn't never really thinking about it like that. It just so happened I played, everybody liked it. You think when I went in that park that first day and played, I knew people was gonna be crazy? I didn't know. And once I started playing, all I was the light-skinned dude with braids. That's all I was. That light-skinned dude with braids was there. He killed it. What's his name? I don't know. That's what it was. And then one time in the park, I was at the Fantasia, and I think it was Spoonie G was there, Sweetie G was there, and I think may even been the Crash Crew. I'm not sure. I forget who it was, but they was there. And then I was standing inside with my boys. We was in there, and everybody was, having a good time. And one of the dudes that had the record out recognized me. And he was like, yo, you Kid Flash? And I'm like, yeah. He said, he said to me, yo, aren't you that dude who be playing? And I'm like, yeah. I said, right. He's like, yo, you want to get on? I was like, all right. And he gave me good times, and I smashed it. And that's when he was like, yo, this is Kid Flash. He was look how fast he going. And the dude kept saying, and I never seen this dude before on the mic. He kept saying, yo, this dude is Flash it in Flash. You got to look how he's doing. This is Kid Flash. Yeah, I ain't never heard it in Kid Flash. And then at the end of the party, me and this dude start talking. Come to find out, he lived right around the corner from me. He became my MC.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy how things has happened, just come together. You know what I mean? In one night, you found your world-renowned household DJ name, and you also found an MC as well, man. You know, and not only that, you got to perform in front of hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the park.
Of people, and had no business even being there. You know, it was just on a humbug that we walked in, and what, bam, it happened. You know, it happened. But a lot of that stuff was given to me. I never started out calling myself a legend because I knew I took the hiatus. But one thing I remember this now. There's no one even to now without social media. I look at it as social because with social media it's easier. But without social media, yeah, I got awards in. This is how crazy it got. From 79 in May, by the time May of 80 rolled around, I was getting awards in the Armory. They emptied the Armory where they pull the trucks in and open the gates, these big buildings. They emptied the Armory, brought me in Crown Heights Affair, which was an R&B group that was popping back then at the time, I'm not going to lie. Now, I'm only 18 years old. You guys, I don't know y'all. But we got there, and I was getting awards for being the fastest rising DJ at that time. I mean, I was known all over New York, and I never had, and with no social media, just getting on fire. It got to a point people would put my name on flyers, and just because they knew people would come to get money, and I knew nothing about it. Let me, just a quick story again. Tell you how bad it got for a brother. I remember going on Jamaica Avenue. Now, Jamaica Avenue is the epicenter of the people. What it is every school, no matter where you go to a school, it could be in 7 different directions from the east side of the terminal and 7 different directions from the west side of the terminal. Don't matter. Every bus that comes from that school has to drop down into 165 in Jamaica, and then from there people disperse and go where they're going home. So that became the spot. Because, you know, kids are going to linger. You know, it got to a point, now think about this. I only been out 8 months. I go on the avenue, and one person recognized me, and they started following me around like a school fight. I mean, I couldn't go nowhere. I could not go nowhere. I ducked into now there's another story. I ducked, same thing. I ducked into the record store. I'm in the record store, so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to buy some records because that's why I came up there. Figured they'll break out sooner or later. I'm in there buying records. The people still outside and they gathering. Some people came in and they were buying records. So what happened is I noticed whatever record I pick up, these dudes would pick up. So they knew who I was, so they were seeing what I buy, then they go buy, which is a smart move. Because now you're getting what I'm thinking about cutting. So they do that. When I got up to the register, the guy was like, yo, what's going on? There's a fight. They looking to get you? I'm like, no, I'm a DJ. I'm Kid Flash. He didn't know. He wasn't even from the country. He didn't know. He didn't know nothing about it. He was like, wow. And I was like, yo, you see them dudes over there? Yeah, they buying exactly what I'm buying. Watch. And when I paid for my stuff, I left. All the people left. When I came back in there a week later, he said, you was right. They did that. He said, if you could do that, walk around, let people see you, come in the store, and people buy, I'll give whatever you buy free. I had a sponsor in 1980 before that was even popular. So I didn't pay for records no more.
And especially when you're called DJ Flash, you must have been scratching the hell out of those vinyls, man, like nonstop. Must have went through a stack a night.
Man, yo, I got DJs that'll tell you now that they used to come by my house and take the joints that I used to throw out. Because I always had to buy 2 of that joint, and I always had to buy 4. Because there's 2 you're going to practice on, and then there's 2 you're going to play at the gig. So I was running through records, man.
And also, jumping ahead a little bit, the one thing I did see when I was doing the research for the interview on Facebook, that I saw you actually holding a Kid Flash street sign. I want to ask you, do you have your own street named after you? And if so, man, how does it feel just to actually have your own street?
No, I didn't. You know what? That just shows you the power of the internet. I went from when I got back into the game 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago. So I just was a regular dude. And everybody was wondering where I was at. Nobody knew my real name, so they couldn't find me. Nobody knew where I was at. None of them. So when I decided to get back, when my man Dave got me to get back in the game. When I got on there and started showing everybody I'm back, and they realized it was me, one of the fans sent me that. He just sent me that. And I was like, wow. So I just used it and incorporated it. Show love back. Let them know that I did see that you sent it, and I appreciate it, and I threw it in the little video, because I was making the videos through photos back then.
That's actually really cool, though, you know what I mean? It proves that even after all the years, nobody's forgotten about you.
Yeah, and that's one thing I don't like doing. That's why you haven't seen interviews. Actually, you're the first one of this year that I'm really doing sit down live like this. I've been on other FMs that go to they spot and do it 10, 15 minutes, and then I break out. But this is the first time I'm ever given an hour, because I'm not comfortable with talking about stuff that I did, because I was never that dude. That's why no one never heard of me, because I never say, well, yo, why everybody don't give me the credit for being the first one that started doing the scratch in between when he's cutting fast? Nobody wasn't doing that, because I'm not that dude. You know, I'm not that dude, because I was so fast that when I cut good times, good, I was going so fast I had to slow down. So then I started cutting it good, get good, like that. I started cutting it with a little in between. Nobody was doing that. It's little things that I see. But the one thing you have to realize, and I have arguments with DJs now about why people call you a legend and you stepped away for decades. Because of what I did, nobody did after. No one came close to that. No one had the popularity that I did that could go where I go and do what I did. And it was all because of music. It was all because of music. I mean, this is a story here. We did a block party, and I moved to South Jamaica. Now I'm full grown Kid Flash. It's on now. It's on now. And my man, my mentor, my big brother from another mother, Mikey McGee, shout out Mike in Miami. Get out that boat. He had a block party on his block, which was 203rd Street and 112th. I'm detailing it so everybody you speak from New York can tell you about it. They had another block party right up the block, 203rd and 112th, and 11th, and the third one on 203rd and 110th. That was Jam Master J's block before he was Jam Master J. And he was DJing out in front of his house. Another DJ was DJing out near. So when I got there, and Mikey called me and said, yo, man, they got other DJs come down here and come over here. I said, all right, as soon as I finish over here, I went over here and I tore it up to where every person from the other two blocks came on our block. We had that block park people up in the other people's yards. We had all of that, and we killed it. After that day, God sleep in peace, my brother Butch, who got me into the music, he had a seizure, and he was trying to swallow his tongue. So they took him to the hospital, and afterwards, we was a little upset, so we went up to our normal, went up to Hollis, where everybody be at, running them. Shout out to them and Hurricane, you know what I'm saying? So we went up there, and we was drinking beers. Dude walks up to me, never saw this dude, don't know this dude from Jack. Walked up to me and said, okay, fast, can I speak with you for a minute? I'm like, yeah. So, I walk away with him and, take a few steps. And he started talking to me, listen, I'm trying to form a group here, and I'd like you to be in it. I'm getting ready to do some things. And I'm like, I said, and he was like, nah, I'm just looking for you. I already got my MC. And I'm like, nah, because now I got the mind frame of when I was trying to come out and trying to get people to show me love, where was y'all at? Now that I got myself out, self-made it, now everybody want to come at me because that's my hard-headed, inexperienced adolescent ass. And then he was like, well, look, my name is Russell Simmons. If you want to change your mind, here go my number. You didn't have no card. Here go my number. Give me a call. Had no idea that was Russell Simmons trying to form groups and was going to make records. I had no idea that was him. And I never met John Master J, just so you know, personally. I've seen him in spots, but never met him personally. But that was the night Russell Simmons asked me to join a group that he was trying to form. And that was before they had records and shit.
If you don't mind me asking, when he gave you the card, did you ever call him afterwards or anything like that? Or did you just?
No, it wasn't a card. It was just a piece of paper. And I'm gonna be honest with you, my arrogant little ass didn't think I needed them, because at that time no one was talking about records. It wasn't a buzz, or I wasn't in the connect, the loop that people knew that's what was being thought about doing. You see what I'm saying? And then again, even if he did, he's talking, and this is where my loyal to a fault come in. I wouldn't have left my group because they was there with me from when we wasn't nobody. When I was just a light-skinned kid with braids. He gave me that name. Now I'm going to kick them to the curb and go with them.
That's most definitely true. You know, you always got to remember where you came from.
Yeah, I'm going to go back home. I run with these dudes.
And even though you never rolled, like, never had the opportunity to meet JMJ, I do got to say quickly, man, I am actually truthfully glad in some sense he did actually get some justice, man. I'm actually glad they found the individuals that murdered him, man. I do want to say.
Yeah, that's I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Even like I say, even though I don't, I never met him personally. And if I did, I don't know. Because, I met a lot of people before they were who they were. But, definitely, man, because his family and them is all right. Since I come back to Venus myself, shout out Venus, they've been treating me good. And he's good people. Nobody deserves that, man. It was a good dude. Jay wasn't a street dude like that. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't no sucker, but he wasn't like that. He wasn't running in the lanes we were running in and shit like that. He wasn't that dude. So yeah, I'm happy for them, even though I know for a fact that don't give nobody closure, man. It don't. I got people that I've lost, please, many a time. So it don't give you that closure like that. But, I'm still happy that they know that dude ain't running around no more. So that is a good thing. Oh, and by the way, I never did call Russ back. And let me tell you, because at that time, after that, I kind of got disinterested in the music, because then I started seeing the difference of the people that was around me, and I didn't know how I was going to have to get from around them, because they wasn't taking it serious when I just seen it was time to really take it serious, and I didn't know how to lead at that time. I'm a lion, but I didn't have my name yet. You know what I'm saying? I knew how to eat something, but I didn't know how to go out there and kill it yet. Everything getting away from me. So, it was a rough thing for me. But long story short, I got into some trouble, got locked up. When I came home, my dudes took me out to this party out in the Lower East Side. So we went in this party, and we in there, and who runs up on me, yells out my name, Kid Flash, and I ain't heard this in years. We're talking maybe 8, 9 years. Who is it? It's fucking Russell again. This time he's Russell now. Ain't no bullshit. He gave me a card that didn't even have a number on it. It's a black card. So we show this to the niggas in the Park Avenue. When you come to my building, show this to them. They didn't have nothing on it. I was like, but Russ, he was like, trust me. And he said, yo, man, I got ideas for you. Russell always, if you ever get a chance to talk to that brother and ask him about me, and from Queens, you got to say that. Russell always had a plan on how he could work what I do. I just never sat down and took the time to listen to it. Because that time Russell came to me, then I was already done with trying to be that Kid Flash shit, man. I was done with that, man. I got kids to raise. Like, if I get in this game, I'm going to hurt somebody. I'm going to have to get strapped again. I got to be Kid. I'm tired of being Kid. I want to be Jamel. This ain't the thing. Because I was never in the game for money. I love that shit because I got on day one. It was dope. Fuck me up. Excuse my language. But, I couldn't believe that. So I never called them back. Never tried to do any of that, man. Never did, man. So I saw, how some people say, man, I wish I would have did that. Yeah, that opportunity in your life was there and you missed it. Man, I had two. Surefire opportunities, but I didn't take it. Because at that time I didn't want to, I wasn't into the music no more like that. I just didn't want to do it, man.
Especially when you've been through so much, man. You've been through so much. You've seen so much. You know what I mean? And you just got out of jail. You're probably. I kind of understand your mindset. You're like, man, fuck it. I just want to be normal. You know what I mean? I don't want to relive and make those same mistakes.
No, and you know what it was? I couldn't go nowhere. Immortal, I couldn't go nowhere. And then if I get out there and I try to talk to a chick, they find out who I am now. Who are you with? Are you with Kid or you with Jamel? Why you trying to check me now? Same as friends. So it was deep. Even I ain't trust nobody, because when you go to Southside, I ain't going with you, nigga. What you doing? I'm digging your pockets around me on a quick tip. It was like that. So, it was just different. I couldn't do nothing. This is a funny story. I got married, and I met this chick, I got married. I never told her nothing about the Kid Flash shit. All these people, and when I lived around in the area where 50 was, in Rochdale, shout out to Circle 5, nobody in there, handful did, I'm not going to lie, but nobody really knew me as Kid Flash. They only knew me as Jamel. Nobody. And I was living a regular life. Think about it. Dude who never got past 10th grade was making $72,000 a year at a job. I was doing good. So it wasn't none of that. So I didn't really need that, and I was away from that. One day, me and my wife's going to her best friend's house, and she's like, yo, this is the address. I'm like, oh, shit, I used to live over here. I lived on 204th Street, 113th. Where we were going was 202nd Avenue and 112th. And I'm like, wow. And then when I pull up to the house, I'm like, wait, that's Lisa's house. She was like, yeah, I know Lisa. I do know Lisa. And I'm like, yo, I know her from around the hood. The funny thing is, when we went in the house, my wife said, yo, go up. Oh, I forgot the gift. Go and get the gift. So I go back. My wife goes in the house. I go back in the car. I bring the gift in the house. Some dark-skinned chick sees me, and she just goes crazy. She starts screaming, drops the glass, screaming, oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God, running in the kitchen. And my wife was like, what's wrong? They come running out, and he was like, the Kid Flash, Kid Flash. And my wife like, what the fuck you talking about? That's the middle. She's like, no, that's Kid Flash. And she went into hysteria, and I had to explain. I had to leave. I had to leave. I had to explain to my wife the Kid Flash shit. And she said, why you never told me? And I told her because, you know, that was, I just had to put that side away because it was too rough, man. It was too rough. It turned me into the lion that I wasn't trying, that I didn't need to be. I don't need to be the lion always on attack. No. We sit back too. Y'all go get that. Y'all set up these shits and then let me get at it. But, you know, that was just how it was, man. I never was for the fame. Never was for that. I turned down documentaries. They got docs. You want to do docs on how, what happened, what you did, and how you did this. How you got so known. You know, so it is what it is.
And one thing I gotta say to that, you know what I mean? And like you said earlier, a lot of people, they knew you for like the light-skinned brother with the dreads, right? So probably in these days, you didn't have the dreads, so people that only actually really knew who you were probably knew that you were Kid Flash because you didn't have the dreads, right?
Right.
So that's probably why when you
braids, not dreads though, with braids. But yeah, and that's the first thing. That's the first thing they noticed was the afro, because I had the big Michael Jackson type afro. Me and my brother, we all had that here. We all had that here. You know what I'm saying? Even though I am part Jamaican because my father come from Kingston. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it was just crazy. It was just crazy. And you know, then you know what it is for me to do what I did in a short period of time, and people can remember it. And I walk in Gucci rapping Polo. I knew of Polo and him, but I never met him. They made records after I already stopped. When I came back, I went with Bob McDaniels and boom, at Red Alert's joint. I went into Polo, and the first thing they said, yo, Kid Flash, this is Polo. Polo, this is Kid Flash. He said, I heard of you, man. Yo, and he started in on the joint, and that shocked me that dudes that did it in the game was looking at me like that. You know, it just shocked me. It just shocked me, man. You know.
And another individual that I noticed that you actually worked with was an individual by the name of DJ Black Magic. Yeah, I just got connected with him there today, and I'm actually going to be debuting his show for the first time actually on the radio station there tomorrow afternoon. But I want to ask you, how did yourself and DJ Black Magic get connected?
Well, I got connected with him, I would like to say, I've known him now for maybe a year and change, and we met each other through Precious FM because he plays every day at 6. It makes at 6. My boy, check him out. And Monday through Friday, and I come on at Thursday from 7 to 8. So that's how we connected because we was radio mates. You know what I'm saying? And I push it. If I see you see, I'll give you this is how you know how I am with my with this. When you put that picture out about me coming here, you see how quick I posted and set up something, started doing promotion on it. That's how I am. So when I met this dude, I'm like, all right, so he's in the label, you know, he's cool. I like how he's from Brooklyn. I started bigging him up, and me and him just connected. He heard he heard stuff about me, you know what I'm saying? I never talked to him about me. You know, we never talked on the level to me knowing exactly what he knows about me and stuff like that. We never do that because I don't do that with people. You know, I just try to be cool. I don't walk in the room like I'm that dude. You know what I'm saying? If my presence brings that out you, then it does. But I don't do that. I don't walk in there like I'm some sucker. But I don't walk in there like, yo, I'm Kid Flash. I ain't did nothing. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. But that's how I met him, man. He's a good dude. Me and him connect, man. So now we exchange numbers, and I give him ideas I'm doing, and, you know, we do the same. It's a good dude.
And speaking of grind times, your show you do, if you don't mind me asking, how can individuals actually tune into that? That way, if they check out this interview, whether it's live or on demand type feature, you know, they can actually hear, you know, DJ Kid Flash on the ones and twos.
Every Thursday on FreshSFM.com radio, you tune in, you'll see it up there. Just click under there. You'll see the play button, hit the play button, and tune in every Thursday at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. I give them an hour because, you know, I'm a little busy trying to get my company off the ground, 17 Beats, my own production company, and I got Grinds gear trying to push that. My son got Breaking Day gear trying to push that, but you can find that in Fresh FM. That's where you can hear me doing live, doing music all the time, and during the holidays. I normally just did the holidays, but I started stepping my game up because, you know, I'm ready to come out with the whole table now. The company, the apparel, what I'm doing, you know, trying to just move everything right off the bat. But that's where you can find me. And hopefully in the future on Outlaw in Canada.
Hey man, most definitely. I do have show slots open, so if down the road, if you are interested, you know my number, give me a call, and we most definitely can work out a time slot to get the legendary DJ Kid Flash spinning on the radio station.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
And also, a couple years ago in 2017, and I gotta say first and foremost, this is actually most definitely well deserved. But you actually received a certificate for the Rap and Tape Black History Heritage. I'll have to ask you, what were your thoughts on receiving that certificate, man? Because you are solidified within hip hop history, man. I gotta say, I couldn't picture it happening to anybody better than you.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the love. And it came out of the blue. I had no idea. I didn't even know they was even thinking about me in that manner. Because I was busy on my grind, just coming back out. Wasn't even a full year. I'm pushing them, trying to get my name back out, trying to do what I got to do at every event, you know. And next thing I know, boom, they came out. I showed up at one of the events, and they hit me with that. Caught me off guard. And I was proud to get it, you know. I always accepted and are proud of anything that I get. You know, especially when it comes to music, because I know how hard I grind for it. And I know how, you know, it affects people. That's why I try to hold it and use it at a certain standard with my work. You know, my sets aren't easy. I don't just come out and play the latest joint, do a little scratch, bring in the next latest joint. It's not what I do. I got a slogan. Make your DJ work. He could do extra. Don't make it that easy. But, I was really, I was proud to get that. I still have that here. That's one of the ones I keep framed. You know, the rest of them I gave to my mom's, sleep in peace. But that's one of the ones I came because of what it stood for. What it stood for. It didn't have nothing to do with me. You bring in the mad numbers at the gate. You the fastest dude I ever seen. The shit you did last week was dope. No, it's why you inspiring black people, man, from all this time. And what really tripped me out is when he hit me, and I'm like, well, and I asked the president, I was like, why me? What was it that I did to make you see that? What was it? And he told me, he said it was your first interview when you first came out. He was on DTF radio and with your boy, and I was with Down Pringle, he was a A&R and a footman for Rough Riders Records back in the days. So I was with him. He brought me to the first radio station, So I'm over there, and who's in there? They say Rockwell. I hear them talking. I'm in the waiting room. They say Rockwell is here, and I'm like, yo, I never met this dude. What do he look like? Which one is him? I'm up in the window. I'm like, yo, I love this dude, Method Man, Missy Elliott, all the shit he did for them, man. Come on, man, this nigga's dope, EPMP. Which one's him? They said the big dude. And I was like, damn, I gotta get a picture with this dude. So, because I never met this dude, and I like his work. So I said, come on in, kid. So I go in there, and I'm sitting in there quiet while they're still interviewing him. And then she comes out and says, yeah, we got Kid Flash coming up next. Kid Flash is in the house, Kid Flash. And then Rockweiler never turned around. He was like, Kid Flash from where? And I thought he was beefing. So I was like, yo, I'm from Queens, Jamaica. He turned around and looked at me, and this is all on film because they filmed it and we got pictures. This dude gave me the bear hug of the life and said, yo, when I went to sit down, he was like, no, don't sit down, King. He grabbed me and gave me a bear hug, and he told on air, it's on air, they got it. He said, yo, when I told him the story about being followed on the avenue, like I told you, and when I dipped in the record store, he came out and said, "Yo, Kid Flash, I was one of those dudes following you on the avenue like that." I remember doing that at least 4 times. He said, when I saw you play, and he started naming Jamaica Park. He said, when I saw you play there, right then and there, I knew I was going to be a producer because I knew I could never do none of that shit you was doing. And that's what he said changed his mind from DJing to going to producing. And that tripped me out. And I got that picture here of him hugging me with his eyes wide open. Because, man, that's like the biggest. Here I am, big eye in this dude. And this dude is big eye in me. And then he'll tell me I gave him the motivation to become what he is. Come on, man. That's a legend right there. That's legend shit right there.
And I got to say,
I had a hand in that.
We got about 10 minutes left in this interview, but the one thing I do want to ask you, because me personally as a DJ myself, and many other DJs that do listen to my interviews, I have to ask you, what is some great advice that you can give some DJs that are even, whether they made it or not, or whether they're already just coming out on the scene? Because, you know, you've been at this, you've been scratching 1s and 2s before it was even popular, man. You've been doing it since day one, so I gotta ask you, what is some great advice that you can actually give some inspiring DJs just like myself?
One thing you have to do is you gotta keep playing. You gotta touch the turntables every day and advance yourself. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're not on point, you're going nowhere. So it don't matter who you know, what you know, where you go. You have to be able to be on top of your game every day. I devote 3 to 5 hours now a day on this. And that's just the turntables. That's got nothing to do with the drum machines and none of that other. You got to do that. But as far as that's the easiest advice anyone can give you. Now I'm gonna give you the real advice. If you're looking to get into music and you really looking to get into making signing contracts, you have to learn the paperwork. You have to get a real lawyer away from any company. You have to get a lawyer that's bipartisan. It's not down with that company. Because if not, you're going to get screwed. Any contract. And if you don't have the money, now here go the layman's way. If you don't got the money for a lawyer, don't sign anything that you have to sign before you leave that office. You tell them, give you a copy of that, then you go and take it to someone and find out what they'll charge you to pay that. You could get Adidas and Michael Jordan's. You could pay for this dude to read this to you and get back to you in a couple of days. Because if you can't, no new artist is never going to own his rights outright unless you dope. Unless you a Drake type coming out, they see it. No artist is going to own that, but you can't sign those big numbers, big years deals. And if they believe in you that much, you got to believe in yourself. Cut that deal in half or a quarter, take that and see where you at after that. You got to take risk in yourself, because if you don't, you're not getting nothing. They're going to get it all. But keep on your grinds, man. Because one man might jerk you in, the next man will take care of you. Stay on your grinds.
And so, Flash, this is the time in the interview here, right quick, that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to. And of course, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything Kid Flash if they're not already doing so.
That's cool. You can shout out to the Almighty Force Brothers. That's my family first off. Shout out to Cypher Sounds, Understanding, the creator of all of this. And my man, Southside Kid, because without him, I wouldn't even be back. This man bothered me for years to come back. You can find me on Facebook as Jamel Harris. That's 2 M's. Also in Kid Flash, you see my little fat face up there. And on Instagram, I'm Original Kid Flash. That's where you can find me at. And the shout-outs, that's it. I don't really get into that. Everybody know they cool with me, because if I miss a brother, they're going to be on me. So, shout out to the Soul 17. That's my play.
I gotta say quickly, Flash, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening and coming on the radio station, man. It's always good to hear great hip-hop pioneer stories, man. So thank you so much for just, sharing some of those amazing stories with us, man. Because I'm gonna be honest, with my radio station, my goal is to help keep real hip-hop alive, man. My goal is for stories like those to be heard many, many years to come, even after both of us are already gone. So thank you so much for sharing some amazing insight on what it was like to be a DJ back in the day.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. No doubt. And I appreciate you reaching out to me, man. And I love your platform for what you're doing, because that's exactly what we need. You know, we need them. Not, and it's not all about they got to be on us or looking at us like we God. It's not about that. Just remembering where you came from, because you know what? 10 years from down the line from now, you're going to be us talking about the next guy. It's not talking about you. So, I appreciate you, Immortal.
You are most
Canada,
certainly welcome.
stay up.
Thank you so much. Have yourself a wonderful night.
You too, Chief. I'll get back to you too, man, about sending you a set. We'll definitely talk, Chief. I got your number.
Hey, man, most definitely. You call, I'll answer, most definitely. Thank you so much.
No problem, man. Take care.